Hi there, I'm Katy-Rose, writing under the pen name of KR Green, and this is the March 2021 vlog that I have been doing for the last 2 months, where I discuss my experiences of writing alongside being a writer in today's world with pandemics, day jobs, etc. So to start off with a little bit of reflection on March itself, it is currently the 2nd of April, I had to think about that while I'm filming this, and thinking about how much writing I got done in March, I was quite frustrated and kind of looked back and felt that I hadn't done a great deal this month. I felt like compared to the kind of momentum that I had in January, end of January, beginning of Feb, I feel like in March that has just sort of dwindled a little bit, which is part of how life works, the ups and downs, which on paper is fine, but for me was a bit frustrating. Like, oh, I've just got my writing kind of sense back and then I didn't write much this month. However, I'm looking over to the side where I've got my spreadsheet, and apparently I wrote 6,875 words in the month of March. Now, for someone who didn't write very much, I feel that isn't bad. I feel like that's an okay number. And when I look at kind of how that is spread out, around 2,500 of those words were fiction this month. Which I feel isn't too bad. It's kind of a third-ish. Again, considering I didn't think I'd done much with my fiction this month. In case this is your first vlog or you haven't followed my blogs over the last few years, I used to write 150,000 words a year of fiction without really thinking about it, like without having to do too much. And over the last 4 to 5 years, that has just dropped and dropped and dropped and become harder, and I feel like it's more of a struggle to write fiction than it used to be. And therefore my goal with MilWordy from September was to count all of the non-fiction writing I do within this calculations that I do within my tracking my word count, actually including Medium articles, emails to my list, letters to my cat. Hello, boy. How can I help you? Yeah, I thought so. Oh, a tail thwack. Oh, you've knocked the camera. Well done. Alright, baby. Don't nuzzle the camera. Cat butt. No comment. Yes, so because I had previously not been counting my non-fiction words, I didn't know how many of those I was writing, and thus we are now 6 months in to me logging my non-fiction and my fiction words. So that's Medium articles, that's newsletters to my list. I've also put some of my journaling that then ends up in my content and things, including that, and the non-fiction book that I began in January as well. So there's a few different things here and there that have kind of added up, I suppose, to that 6,875 for March. My 6-month total with both fiction and non-fiction is 93,078. Which, considering I was concerned that I haven't been writing 100,000 words a year, makes me feel just a little bit better, because I haven't been trying to write more, I've been trying to track what I already write. So for me that feels like a win. Looking back at March, I can see that I didn't write on as many days, which I think is why it feels like I haven't written as much this month, but I did edit over 1,000 words on one day of one of my fiction projects, which has then like pulled the word count up, even though I then hadn't edited or written anything for 3 or 4 days afterwards. So although it feels like I haven't been writing as much, it is just reassuring for me to know that I naturally am a writer, I just write. And in tracking that, I get to kind of feel the accomplishment of something that I've always done, which feels quite nice, particularly considering, as I said, I'm in that space of feeling like I didn't write too much this month, and I'd like to have written stuff this month, if that makes sense. And I've spoken before how that kind of writing identity as a writer shifts over time, and I think again this MilWordy challenge of tracking is really helpful just to understand a little bit of what the mindset's like, how I perceive myself as a writer, how I perceive my writing, how I perceive productivity and success, especially when I'm now doing this challenge where I am looking at how much I write in any given month for the next, for the next 6 months at least. In terms of the projects, Felt Gods I did some edits on it right at the beginning of the month and then didn't touch it. I went back to an old project and I actually submitted the first 10 pages for something, which I'm not going to share at this point, but so I spent a couple of days editing that and wrote 910 new words. Smoke has decided to move a load of paper around and sit in it. So I've completed that project and submitted that, but that took a few days, and again was working on editing and writing for a fiction project, so that felt really good. And then I've been trying this month, and I'm going to continue to in April, to streamline the content that I have for my business and just pool all of the resources together and hopefully summarise it kind of succinctly. The key messages are clear and you don't need to read 400 pages just to know what I'm on about. So that's the plan I started that in March, and that's what I'm continuing in April. And I also will be working on Felt Gods a bit more in April. I've got a kind of self-set deadline for the end of April about where I want to be on that, which I'm a bit behind on at the moment, so we'll see, but I'll talk about that in April's vlog, I guess. I would love to know how you are finding writing or any project that you're working on with creativity, because I think with the pandemic and the changes and the fact that we've now been here a year experiencing this very weird world, I know that sometimes it feels like I've settled into a bit of a routine with it, and then sometimes I'm like, oh my god, it's been a year, I don't know what to do with this. And I think reflecting on that's really important, and how that might be impacting us and our friends and family. So in terms of writing, has that got harder? Has that got easier? Have you found that actually journaling daily is really helpful? Have you found that working on fiction is a good distraction? Or have you just not been able to write because look at the state of the world and actually there's so much going on that it's not natural to be creative during a time of high stress, particularly long-term chronic stress like we've been having for the last year. And that's ignoring any specific personal events people go through as well. So just a little kind of, it's okay to have not done a lot this month. It's okay to still be finding your feet and struggling with that. Also, I'd love to know what you have accomplished and where you've got to with things, or if you've maybe tweaked your plans because of how you're feeling, and what your plans might be for April. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the slight cameo of Smoke, who you can probably vaguely hear. He's on the floor and would not like it if I picked him up again, so you've had your cat butt for this month. And I will speak to you again at the end of April. Bye.